Sad. Please keep Kurupt in your prayers. His condition looks serious, and those close to him are deeply concerned. Without immediate help, the situation could become critical. In the past, Kurupt has openly spoken about severe damage to his pancreas, liver, and kidneys, saying his body had been completely worn down. News of his current hospitalization came as a shock to many. Daz Dillinger took to social media, posting a message filled with faith and urgency. Exhale sharply. "God said we shall live and not die," he wrote, asking fans everywhere to flood Kurupt with messages of support and prayers for his recovery. The hip-hop community responded instantly. Kurupt is now making headlines due to a serious health scare that has left him hospitalized for weeks. While official reports have not revealed the exact nature of his illness, it is clear that the situation is severe. Friends, fans, and fellow artists remain anxious, knowing this is not the first time Kurupt has faced a life-threatening crisis. On January 12, 2026, reports surfaced that Kurupt, one half of the legendary duo Tha Dogg Pound, was in critical condition, fighting for his life. Early updates were vague, offering no clear diagnosis, but the urgency was undeniable. Social media was immediately flooded with prayers, love, and messages of hope. No one took the news harder than Daz Dillinger, Kurupt's longtime partner, who repeatedly shared old photos and emotional messages urging everyone to pray. Daz reminded fans of the legends they had already lost, including Nate Dogg and close family members, making the situation feel even heavier. By that point, Kurupt had already been hospitalized for weeks, confirming this was far more than a minor scare. While recent updates suggest he is slowly improving, concern remains high due to his history and how close he has come before. This moment did not come out of nowhere. To understand what is happening now, you have to look back to September 2019, when Kurupt nearly lost his life during another major health crisis. At the time, he appeared on Marriage Boot Camp, hip-hop edition, with his girlfriend, Tony Calvert, hoping to repair their strained relationship. But problems with alcohol, infidelity rumors, and emotional tension followed them into the house. The environment only made things worse. Alcohol was readily available, and one night Kurupt pushed his body far beyond its limits. He collapsed and had to be rushed to the hospital, missing days of filming. The incident was so alarming that producers eventually banned alcohol from the house entirely. But that episode was only one symptom of a much deeper problem. Over the years, Kurupt has been honest about the battles he's fought behind the scenes. At one point, he suffered back-to-back seizures and was hospitalized in Utah. Doctors traced the cause directly to years of heavy drinking. His liver was damaged, his kidneys were failing, his pancreas was severely compromised. Doctors warned him that without major changes, the next shutdown could be fatal. Despite those warnings, Kurupt continued performing, often bent over in pain, pushing through shows when his body was clearly breaking down. According to him, his addiction dated back to when he was just 24 years old, sitting at a table with Tupac Shakur. Tupac placed a bottle of Hennessy on the table, and from that moment on, drinking became a daily habit. He later admitted that alcohol became something he needed just to feel normal. A shot and a beer in the morning, drinking while watching TV, playing games, or killing time. It was no longer recreational, it was survival. To truly understand Kurupt's journey, you have to go even further back. Born Ricardo Emmanuel Brown on November 23, 1972 in Philadelphia, he was raised in a strict religious household. His mother was deeply involved in church and worked hard to keep him grounded. But outside of church, Philadelphia in the 1980s was harsh. By 15, he was running with a crowd that worried his mother deeply. Fearing for his life, she sent him to California to live with his father. His father lived a disciplined, structured life, believing in stability and steady work. But Ricardo was already consumed by music. At 18, he moved into the Crenshaw district, deep in Roland's 60s Crips territory, where violence, loss, and street politics reshaped his worldview. Despite the danger, Kurupt survived and became known as the neighborhood MC, always ready to rap, battling bar for bar until exhaustion. His big break came in 1991 at the Roxy Theater, when he went head-to-head with Snoop Doggy Dogg in a legendary rap battle. The two battled for nearly 20 minutes. When it ended, Snoop promised that if he ever made it, he would come back for Kurupt, and he did. By 1992, Kurupt was part of Death Row Records from the very beginning, appearing on The Chronic and Doggy Style. Alongside Daz Dillinger, he formed Tha Dogg Pound. Their debut album Dog Food dropped in 1995 and debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, selling nearly 300,000 copies in its first week. But behind the success, chaos was growing. Violence, label politics, and East Coast-West Coast tension escalated. In 1999, tragedy struck outside Echo Sound Studios in Atwater Village. Gunmen opened fire with automatic weapons. Kurupt and Daz survived by diving for cover, but Kurupt's bodyguard, Dwayne "Draws" Johnson, was shot multiple times and killed on the scene. For years, the shooting was wrongly linked to rap beefs, but the truth was darker. The shooter was Timothy Joseph McGee, later known as the Monster of Atwater, a violent gang leader who targeted the group simply for being on what he considered his territory. While dealing with trauma and violence, Kurupt was also being financially destroyed behind the scenes. Legal battles involving Death Row Records and Suge Knight left him bankrupt, despite his massive contributions to the label's success. Even after escaping Death Row's grip, controversy followed when Kurupt briefly re-signed with the label in 2002, fracturing relationships with Daz Dillinger and Snoop Dogg. What was once brotherhood turned into years of public fallout. Despite everything, health scares, addiction, violence, betrayal, Kurupt's legacy